I've been a window dresser at the Sterling Mall for nearly 2 decades. I've arranged displays to entice shoppers into splurging on everything from seasonal clothes to high-end jewelry. It was routine, mundane even, until one particular mannequin turned my life into a waking nightmare. It started innocuously enough. Mannequin #13. I'd numbered them for inventory purposes, always seemed to be slightly out of place in the mornings. Initially, I attributed the changes to clumsy janitors, or maybe even some rowdy teenagers pulling pranks after hours. But something didn't add up. The security footage showed nothing, and no other displays were ever affected. Curiosity piqued, and armed with a sense of professional pride, I decided to investigate. I set up my phone to record Mannequin #13 overnight. When I checked the footage the next morning, I could hardly believe my eyes. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the mannequin twitched. Then it moved, rearranging itself into a new pose before resuming its plastic rigidity. My hands trembled as I replayed the footage, trying to convince myself it was a hoax, a glitch, anything. My search for logical explanations came up empty. Then things escalated. Mannequin #13 started changing locations overnight, sometimes appearing in entirely different stores. Even more disturbing, it began to resemble people who went missing shortly after the mannequin took their form. I was terrified, but also ensnared in a morbid fascination. Who would believe me if I told them? I felt an inexplicable responsibility. I had to get to the bottom of this, even if it led me to places darker than I could imagine. On a night I'll never forget, I decided to stay in the mall after hours, hiding in a makeshift fort of cardboard boxes in the stockroom. Armed with only my phone and a flashlight, I aimed to catch Mannequin #13 in the act. The dead silence of the mall after dark was unnerving. Tick-tock, tick-tock, time crawled. My eyelids grew heavy, but a sudden noise snapped me back to full alertness. It was a soft scraping sound, like plastic dragging against tile. It was coming from the direction of my store. I peeked from my cardboard sanctuary and gasped. There it was, Mannequin #13, moving with disjointed, jerking motions, crossing from one end of the store to the other. Then it stopped, as if sensing it was being watched. Slowly, it turned its head in my direction. Its blank, featureless face seemed to stare straight into my soul. I stifled a scream and ducked back into my hiding place. My heart was pounding like a drum, echoing in the silence of the dark room. Then I heard footsteps, slow but deliberate, coming toward the stockroom. I held my breath, praying it would go away, that I'd wake up from this nightmare. The footsteps stopped right outside my makeshift fort. My flashlight flickered off suddenly, as if drained of power. In the pitch darkness, I felt it, an icy plastic touch against my skin. A voice, guttural and synthetic, whispered, "Now you know, and you can never forget." The next thing I knew, I was lying on the floor of the stockroom. Dawnlight was filtering in through the half-open shutter. Mannequin #13 was back in its original position, poised as if nothing had happened. But something had changed. Its face now bore a smirk, an expression of malicious satisfaction that mannequins should not have. I quit my job that day, but the horror followed me. Every night I hear the scraping sounds, the footsteps. I see its blank face in my dreams, and sometimes in my waking hours. I've started seeing Mannequin #13 everywhere, on street corners and windows, always watching, always waiting. I now live my life in perpetual fear, looking over my shoulder, avoiding any reflective surface. I can't escape the feeling that Mannequin #13 is still out there, stalking me, claiming others, drawing them into its never-ending nightmare. But worst of all, it knows that I know, and that makes me a target in its malevolent game. So, the next time you pass by a storefront, look closely at the mannequins. If one seems out of place, if it changes poses or locations, don't ignore it. But whatever you do, don't investigate. Some questions are better left unanswered, and some horrors are better left unseen. If you like these stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the right. Smash the bell button on the channel to get notified of new upcoming videos, and make sure you like this video. Do it, or face the consequences.